Hello and welcome to this special Racing News 365.com video following today's breaking news. Red Bull team principal Christian Horner will remain in charge of the World Champions after he was cleared of any wrongdoing following the investigation. Joining myself and Nick Golding to discuss the big news of the day is Racing News 365.com lead editor Ian Parks. Ian, the announcement has thankfully been made before the racing got underway. What exactly have Red Bull said today?
Well, the actual line has come out of the Red Bull parent company out of Austria. It's not come from Red Bull Racing themselves because this whole situation has been handled by the parent company. The bottom line, as you mentioned, the top line is that Christian Horner, team principal and CEO of Red Bull Racing, the grievance against him has been dismissed. It has been said that the whole process was fair and transparent, and now there will be no further comment from either party or any of the parties involved, simply because of the sensitive nature of the complaint that was made against him. They do not now want this to go any further. They are drawing a line under it. However, it has been said within the statement that was released that there is that the decision is pending any appeal. So we will have to wait on that to see whether there is another step beyond the one that has been taken this evening. Just to let you know, the statement came out at 6:30 p.m. local time here in Bahrain, 3:30 p.m. UK. So as I say, Christian cleared for now. He is due in the paddock tomorrow. He is due to hold a post-race press conference, which is standard practice anyway, on Sunday. But you have to wonder now whether Red Bull might go ahead and do something prior to that, just to ensure that the questions on Saturday post-race, bearing in mind that's when the race is taking place this weekend, it's on Saturday, not Sunday, are directed towards the Grand Prix. Because, as I'm sure you can appreciate, Nick, if nothing is done beforehand, then every single question in that post-race session is almost certainly likely to be directed towards the situation and what has occurred and what the future now holds for him and Red Bull Racing.
Obviously, you mentioned there that this weekend's Bahrain Grand Prix does follow a bit of a different schedule. Today was media day. Some of the drivers did speak out on the investigation to Horner before, obviously, the announcement was made. What exactly did some of the drivers say about the Horner investigation?
Yeah, it's actually been quite an intriguing day because we got wind very early on, arriving into the paddock, that it was more than likely going to be the case that a statement was going to be issued by the parent company, Red Bull GmbH, evening time, our time. And so you can appreciate that questions to some of the drivers related to Christian Horner and the investigation. Daniel Ricciardo was asked about it, for instance. Bearing in mind his relationship with Christian, they go back a long way. It was Christian that decided to give Daniel a further opportunity within the Red Bull family after he had been discarded by McLaren 2 years into a 3-year contract. Daniel said that he felt for Christian in this circumstance, but primarily that he was obviously hoping that any outcome would be a fair one. He seems to have got that wish, at least when you consider what the statement says. And the main FIA press conference, where Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen were involved, Lewis Hamilton said that this was a situation that had been hanging over F1, kind of echoed the words of his team principal, Toto Wolff. Toto Wolff said pretty much exactly the same thing during a press conference last Friday whilst testing was taking place. So very much following his boss's lead there. And in terms of Max, he has commented on this before. He had been asked questions about it. He kind of didn't 100% support the ongoing situation, didn't offer full support to Christian. What he primarily said was that the team would be very different without him if the decision had gone against him. And of course, that was to be expected, bearing in mind Christian has been in charge of that team since 2005. This is his 20th season now, being in charge of the team. And you can appreciate what Max was saying, that yes, Red Bull would be very different. However, he further added that in terms of the development of the car, in terms of what the season would bode overall for Red Bull, if Christian were not to be in charge, then it would have had no impact if he had left the team. But of course, we now know that is not going to be the case. Certainly, if there is no appeal, if the female concerned, the Red Bull employee, decides not to go ahead in appealing against this judgment.
How important, we touched on this a little bit during testing last week, but how important is it that this has concluded, at least for now, before the race on Saturday?
It's certainly going to be helpful. There are still going to be lots of questions asked of various people. Tomorrow, we've got the team principals press conference. The FIA organised one at the track. And you can imagine that certain questions are going to be posed to those individuals involved in that. Certainly for Christian, he's going to be significant focus of attention. You can imagine every single photographer is going to be waiting to capture that shot as soon as he walks through the gates here at the Bahrain International Circuit. And as mentioned, if no press conference is called by Red Bull, a separate one away from the FIA, Christian isn't scheduled to speak in any way, shape or form other than after the race on Saturday, then, as I mentioned earlier, you can appreciate the questioning post-race will significantly weigh towards the situation, the hearing, and what the outcome has been, even if he cannot say anything specifically relating to the case, because quite clearly that has been the point made by Red Bull GmbH, the parent company, that no further words will be mentioned about this now.
Do you think we will, even in saying that, hear something from Horner before the racing, so that at least, when the cars do hit the track tomorrow for free practice one, the attention can be on the team, not on Horner's current now concluded investigation?
You would hope that Red Bull would be relatively sensible in this situation and recognise that the media are going to want to talk to Christian now that this investigation has been concluded, pending any kind of review that might now emerge. Of course, that's always going to be the caveat, isn't it? They're going to argue that, well, we don't know if an appeal will take place. As I say, it's something to hide behind, but you would hope that, given the magnitude of this decision, that something will occur pre-race. From the media perspective, that's all we can hope for, of course, because as I'm going to outline, if it's delayed, if they decide not to do anything and they wait until after the Grand Prix, then Christian is going to be deluged with questions about this investigation in terms of what he can say, as I say, pending any appeal that might occur.
Do you think this is a bit of a distraction for Max and Sergio going into the first race of the season?
Certainly they've been asked questions about it, but as racing drivers, as soon as the visor comes down on that helmet, then everything else goes out the window and they just wholeheartedly focus on what goes on track. And I can't think for a second that, in particular, that now this has been concluded to a relative degree, that it's going to impinge on what they do on track in qualifying on Friday and in the race on Saturday.
And of course, the visors do go down for the first time tomorrow, free practice 1 and free practice 2, which you need to make sure you're covering. You're covering for us, obviously, in the ground. But for those watching, make sure you're finding all the action on racingnews365.com. From myself and Ian, you'll be seeing us throughout the rest of the week. Have a good one. We'll see you later. Bye.
Take care, folks.